think the fire started in our bedroom. Thankfully, we all did get out safe. The house ended up being a total loss. There were a lot of tears. Our Farmers Union insurance agent was there the next day, and he not only came to see how we were doing, but he brought us a check to say, you know what, here's a little bit of money to get you guys going, and had us paid out in full within 2 weeks.
Farmers Union Insurance. Simply different.
We picked the right insurance company.
If you can find a better steak in Minot, go there. Otherwise, try the biggest, juiciest steaks you've ever had at Elevation Restaurant at Minot Country Club. Open to the public all year long.
The investment you've made in your John Deere equipment is too valuable to just shed it and forget it this fall. Get your tractor, air drill, planter, sprayer, baler, combine, or header scheduled for a postseason performance inspection at one of the 8 Gooseneck Implement Store locations. If you schedule by January 1st, 2017, Gooseneck will provide 100 miles of free trucking to their facility. And any John Deere parts you may need installed by Gooseneck certified technicians will maintain the used season warranty for most equipment. Optimize performance and prevent downtime. Call your local Gooseneck store today.
If you didn't expect to see an Applebee's USDA Choice Top Sirloin searing to smoky oak perfection on a new wood-fired grill, just wait until you see the price. Wood-fired steak with 2 sides for just $9.99. Now for a limited time, only at Applebee's.
I am never getting married. Never. Guaranteed.
You picked a beautiful ring.
Thank you. We're never having kids.
Some of it here.
We are never moving to the suburbs.
We are never getting one of those. We're never having another kid.
I'm pregnant.
I'm never letting go.
For all the nevers in life, talk to State Farm agent Kelly Thorman in Minot. State Farm is there.
Adams has Brent's driving back, poses there, it's in! Davison across. They're checking in, tip, it's in, Alex Adams. Oh my!
Rebound back to the side of the net, it's in, Brent.
When you need a windshield chip repaired, why settle for just professional service when you can receive personal service too? At Choice Auto Glass, we take a hassle-free approach to replacing cracked and broken glass on cars and trucks by working directly with your insurance. But it's more than that. It's the attention we put into making sure your vehicle is returned to you clean and in proper repair. Choice Auto Glass. We're not the only one. We're simply the best one.
Your Monumental Tauros remain in first place in the Central Division of the North American Hockey League after splitting last weekend a pair of home games against the Brookings Blizzard on Friday and the Minnesota Wilderness on Saturday. Tauros are off to Minnesota to take on the number 2 team in the division, Minnesota, again this weekend. It's the week of February 15th. This is Tauros Weekly. On tonight's show, we'll be joined by Austin Park, Reid Stefenason, and of course the GM and head coach, Mr. Marty Murray. I'm Nick Hulberg. This is Tauros Weekly. We're live at Elevation here at the Minot Country Club. Joined tonight by Mr. Ken Orda. Thanks for some time here tonight, Ken.
Good to be here. I wasn't expecting to be here, but here I am.
A little bit of unfortunate luck for you today. Everything all right? Heard you got a little fender bender on the way here.
Yeah, I think I'm getting a new car out of the deal, so no one got hurt. Everything's all right then.
Well, fantastic. Let's go back to last weekend. And I know that you had some obligations back home, but the Friday night game, pretty close matchup with the Brookings club and a game that ended up 2-1 in favor of Brookings. Overall, your thoughts on that contest?
I hate to get a loss, but I thought overall it was a pretty good game. We outshot them heavily, and their goaltender, there's a reason he's on the top prospect roster just like Lucas is, and you had the 2 best goalies in the division going head-to-head. It was a good show.
A lot of fun to be a part of that weekend as we take a look back to the weekend, and you can see that 2-1 loss against Brookings on Friday night. That one, a pretty good hockey game overall. It was a new Pepsi rink attendance record, 1,693 fans on hand for that game. Dollamar had the game's lone goal for the Tauros. Murray made 27 saves in the contest. On to Saturday night, the Tauros hosting Minnesota. This is a matchup of number 1 and number 2 inside the division, and boy, it sure didn't disappoint. Shots were 26 aside in the contest. Jeanson scored his 16th goal of the year. He had 1 goal in the game. Springman scored his 10th. That was the game winner, the first goal of the hockey game. Austin Park turns aside 26 in the hockey game. Obviously, big weekend for the Tauros, picking up the 2-goal differential and the shutout win over Minnesota with points on the premium.
Certainly, that was a fun game to watch as well. I took some time while I was back home and turned the game on and got to watch a Toro game as a fan, which isn't something I get to do a lot. And I got to watch Austin have the shutout and Giner and Springer get the goals. It was actually a pretty fun game to watch.
Things are shaping up. 15 games remaining here in the 2016-2017 schedule. Let's take a look at the standings now. And the Tauros currently sit in the top spot, still with that 58 points at the top of the ladder. 27-14-4 for their record. But boy, things get interesting as you go down the list. Tauros, by the way, 5-4-1 in their last 10. Minnesota Wilderness 6 points back. Big matchups again this weekend with them. They're 7-2-0-1 in their last 10. Keep an eye on Aberdeen, however. 47 points, 11 points back of the Tauros. They've won 7 in a row. Looks like Scott Langer's finally got things dialed in for the Wings in Aberdeen. Brookings 12 points back. Austin 15 points back. Bismarck 18 points back. Interesting that 7 points separates 4 teams from a playoff spot inside the Central Division of the North American League.
Certainly the bottom of the division's tight. Points have been at a premium, and because of that, I think we've all said it all year, there's not really a night off in our division. That's not going to change as teams continue to jockey for that last playoff spot.
Let's take a look at the Tauros top 10 in scoring. Tyler Jeanson, 40 points for him on the year, 40 for Derek Frentz as well. Jeanson in the top spot, of course, due to the 16 goals compared to Frentz's 12 on the year. Alex Adams, currently number 4 in the North American Hockey League for rookies and goals. Nice year for Alex Adams. He's sitting right now, correct that, it's the 5th spot in the North American Hockey League, but he still has 34 points on the year. Not a bad rookie campaign. Same with Reid Stefenason from Winnipeg, Manitoba. 34 points for him on the year, 31 for Dave Pionk. Sadchuk, the D-man, 27 points for him on the season. Chase Springman, 25 points on the year as well, with Jack Murphy, who's no longer here with the Tauros due to the trade. He's still in the top 10 in scoring, however. Jake Diddle rounds out the top 10 in scoring for the Tauros, 23 points on the year. And the thing that I take away from this the most, obviously some secondary scoring hasn't been an issue for the Tauros. Plenty of guys able to find the back of the net.
No, there's been scoring depth, and 2 guys with 40 points. That's near the top of the league. So high-end scoring, depth scoring, you can't really argue with the offense, even though production may have been down the last few games. I think overall, this offense, no reason to worry about it yet.
As the Tauros continue with their organization, the history of Tauros, things are starting to shape up in an interesting way on the all-time points leaders for Tauros hockey. Christian Mose, of course, still leads the way. 101 points for him in his career. Chase Springman with 91. 81 for Johnny Walker. 78 for Derek Frentz. Jaden Martin and Tyler Jeanson now tied with 71. Here's where it gets interesting, though, Ken, as you look at the ladder. Some guys on pace to be able to do some good things and make their way into that top 5 all time.
Yeah, Springer's on pace for 100, so if he gets hot here, he could possibly break Christian Mo's record. Tyler Jeanson's on pace for 84.5, so he should pass Johnny. And Derek Frentz is on pace for 91, which would put him 3rd behind Chase and Christian. And of course, just on the outside looking in, I know Zach Bross, I believe, is at 62 points, so he can creep into that top 5 as well if he has a good finish to the year. And Jake Diddle actually has 60 points on his career as a Toro. So a couple of guys who have an outside chance to get into that top 5.
It'd be interesting to see if some of those guys can get the wheels turning and go on a little bit of a tear here at the end of the year. It'd be quite the honor, of course, to be in that top 5 all time.
Certainly. We saw it from Jake Diddle. He's already the highest scoring defenseman in franchise history. He passed John Lazat, who had 59 points on his career. And we saw it just a couple weeks ago out in Cloquet, where he had a goal in each game. So he's got the offense in him, and if he can turn it on here down the stretch, he has a chance to put up some really good career numbers.
Marty Murray, the head coach and GM of the Tauros, has a good problem to have, and that's the goaltending numbers for the Tauros and which guy to go with on any given night. Obviously, Austin Park showing what he's got, picking up his first shutout of the year last weekend in the last matchup, that 2-0 win. Lucas Murray, of course, sitting on a 17-9-3 mark in the 30 games that he's played. 282 goals against average, 90% save percentage. Park has a great record as well, 7-3-1 for a record, 2.44 goals against average and a 918 save percentage. Those are pretty salty numbers for both of the net keepers for the Tauros.
Certainly, again, more good problems to have if you're a coach. It doesn't really matter who you put in the pipes. You know, we're going to get a good night, and there's a reason that Lucas is on the All-Star team, and Austin is the youngest guy on the team, putting up great numbers, and we've got a tradition here of sending goalies Division I, and hopefully that continues.
When we come back, we'll talk to Marty Murray, the head coach and GM of the Tauros, his thoughts on the goaltending situation, his thoughts with 15 games remaining in the season. It's a dogfight in the Central. We'll hear the coach's thoughts next as they head to Minnesota for a 2-game set against the number 2 team in the division. This is Tauros Weekly.
think the fire started in our bedroom. Thankfully, we all did get out safe. The house ended up being a total loss. There were a lot of tears. Our Farmers Union insurance agent was there the next day, and he not only came to see how we were doing, but he brought us a check to say, you know what, here's a little bit of money to get you guys going, and had us paid out in full within 2 weeks.
Farmers Union Insurance. Simply different.
We picked the right insurance company.
If you can find a better steak in Minot, go there. Otherwise, try the biggest, juiciest steaks you've ever had at Elevation Restaurant at Minot Country Club. Open to the public all year long.
We're live at Elevation here at the Minot Country Club, premier dining here in Minot, North Dakota. It's also the home of Tauros Weekly each and every Wednesday night. We'd like to thank Mike Miller and his staff for hosting us each and every Wednesday here at Elevation. We're now joined by the Tauros head coach and GM, Mr. Marty Murray. Marty, points on the premium inside the Central. You guys remain in the top spot. Nice win on Saturday night. That one had to feel pretty good, picking up the 2-0 victory.
Yeah, that was a huge win. We're, you might argue that was maybe the biggest game of the season up to that point, and we're. Potentially could be 2 points up on the Wilderness going into their barn for 2 this weekend. So it was a big one to create a little bit of separation, recover some of the points that we've kind of given up here over the last few weeks. But it was a big win, and hopefully we can build off the momentum going into Cloquet this weekend.
Always kind of interesting looking at the parity inside the division. Any given night, doesn't matter if you're in first or last, you can win hockey games in the division. You guys obviously have to play your best hockey every night in order to win.
No question about it, especially our league in general, but our division in particular. Is tough. I mean, there's no gimmies. You look at our division standings right now. A month or two ago, Aberdeen was sitting in the cellar, and now they've got hot, and they're sitting in third place right now. So anything goes in our division. It makes it interesting, makes it entertaining for our fans, and at the end of the day, makes our hockey players better too.
Ken and I were kind of talking about that secondary scoring and just the list of guys with 20 or more points on the season, doing all sorts of great things. How easy does that make your job, and how hard does it make your job at the same time, knowing who should be in the lineup and what the right combos are?
That's it's a great problem to have. We have a lot of depth. We have a lot of guys that could be a potential one first line any given night, but like you mentioned, it's just at the same time it's a challenge to keep everybody happy, to spread the ice around and make sure everybody gets the opportunity they deserve, whether it be on the power play or penalty kill or last minute of the game. I trust a lot of guys, but unfortunately can't have them all out there. But so it's kind of a night-to-night basis. You get that feel who's going and who isn't, and those guys that are going that particular night usually end up getting the bigger minutes.
Can't ask for much more in the blue paint either. Two goaltenders that are really pushing each other right now. And talking to Austin Park before the show tonight, just saying that just trying to get a win anytime he's in the blue paint and in between the pipes, trying to help the Tauros win. Got to love that attitude, and got to love having two goaltenders back there that are fighting for that number one job in a sense.
Yeah, it's a great luxury for our coaching staff to have two guys you can count on every night. And Lucas has been a pretty sound goaltender for us for 2 years, and obviously thrilled the way Austin has come on. And his last 8 starts, you probably can look across the league, and there hasn't been a goalie probably any hotter than he has. And certainly both give us a chance to win every night, and that's what you ask for out of your goaltending.
On to business now as far as the North American Hockey League Top Prospects Tournament. Congratulations on being named the head coach. Quite the honor again for you, and some guys that you're taking along that have a pretty good shot of getting some college commits coming out of that tournament as the whole.
No question about it. And first, I have to thank the players. They make my job pretty easy, like you said, and they've shown commitment since they've come to town on September 1st, and so I feel I'm representing the whole team. The players, are the reason why I'm first place, and I'm proud to stand behind them on a nightly basis. And a great honor for those kids that were named for the team. As history shows, it's a great opportunity for them to be noticed at the collegiate level, and hopefully we can get some more college commitments here.
You've been in that role before. You've been to the tournament before. For you, what's that experience like as a coach? Obviously, it's pretty neat. Probably the mingling with the college coaches and the other staff around the league has to be pretty cool.
The league does a tremendous job. First of all, the start of the season with a showcase, and just to let these players be able to get on the maps of a lot of these colleges is a tremendous opportunity for them. And then, mid-season or 3 quarters away in the season, the top prospects. And, I was in awe the first time I went, and it seems to get better every year. The representation from not only the colleges but the NHL are very strong, and like I said, it's a great opportunity for these kids to be seen, and a lot of them go out with some great opportunities.
Back to business this weekend and off to Cloquet again to take on this Minnesota team. And boy, they're a team that, you mentioned it before, they bring their hard hat and lunch pail to work every single night you play them. What does it take to get 2 more wins against Cloquet on their home ice this weekend?
Well, it's a very difficult barn to win in. They're strong at home. They play with a lot of energy, and their fans get behind them. So we'll have to be at our best. And we're a little short-staffed. Diddle is suspended for a hit on Saturday night, so we're without our captain there on Friday. And Holmstrom, I don't think, is going to make the trip due to an illness. So all of a sudden, we're sitting on 4 defensemen here on Friday. But hopefully, we can muster up some 2 good games and play it shift by shift, and hopefully, we can take a little pressure off our D by playing in the offensive zone.
15 games remain here in the 2016-2017 campaign. You guys have a 6-point lead right now over this Minnesota team. When you look at the standings inside the Central, we mentioned it in the open of the show that only 7 points separate 4 teams from getting inside the playoffs. You know that you're going to get teams best every single night. And for you guys, what's the message in the room every single night, trying to prepare your troops for the same kind of mentality, knowing that points are, in a sense, on a premium here?
Well, no question, and I think we talked about it last week. We have a pretty strong home record, so we want to be able to maintain home ice advantage through the playoffs. And I guess we're at a point now we want to make sure we get in the playoffs, and anything can happen here. You get in teams where they get in strong runs. Hockey's a strange game, so we want to continue to put points up and just be the best that we can be. So going into playoffs, we feel comfortable with our game, and whoever we match up in the first round, we want to be at the top of our game because we're going to need it.
Best of luck coming up this weekend, and hopefully 4 points on the way back home.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Nick.
That's Marty Murray, the head coach and GM of the Minotauros. When we come back, we'll talk to Reid Stefenason, one of the leading rookies for the Tauros. He'll join us next. This is Tauros Weekly.
The investment you've made in your John Deere equipment is too valuable to just shed it and forget it this fall. Get your tractor, air drill, planter, sprayer, baler, combine, or header scheduled for a postseason performance inspection at one of the 8 Gooseneck Implement Store locations. If you schedule by January 1st, 2017, Gooseneck will provide 100 miles of free trucking to their facility, and any John Deere parts you may need installed by Gooseneck certified technicians will maintain the used season warranty for most equipment. Optimize performance and prevent downtime. Call your local Gooseneck store today.
If you didn't expect to see an Applebee's USDA Choice Top Sirloin searing to smoky oak perfection on a new wood-fired grill, just wait until you see the price. Wood-fired steak with 2 sides for just $9.99. Now for a limited time, only at Applebee's.
I am never getting married. Never. Guaranteed.
You picked a beautiful ring.
Thank you. We're never having kids.
Come over here.
We are never moving to the suburbs.
We are never getting one of those. We're never having another kid.
I'm pregnant.
I'm never letting go.
For all the nevers in life, talk to State Farm agent Kelly Thorman in Minot. State Farm is there.
Back to Tauros Weekly here at Elevation at the Minot Country Club. We're now joined by Tauros rookie forward Reid Stefenason. And Reid, as always, thanks for a little bit of your time here tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
First of all, before we talk about the business last weekend, the business this weekend, you had some great news come your way here today. First of all, congratulations on signing with UMass Lowell, the NCAA Division I ranks. Has to feel pretty great.
Yeah, thank you very much for the comment there. It definitely feels really good. A little weight lifted off my shoulders here for the last little stretch of the regular season and into playoffs.
For you on the year, 34 points. That comes to the tune of 15 goals, 19 assists. Talk about that pressure a little bit more and what you think this will do to your game, having that lifted off now that you've got UMass Lowell already as a commit, and you know that your future is secured there. For you, you think that's going to help loosen the grip on the stick a little bit and play a little bit more loose? Obviously, it helps a lot of guys in that way.
Yeah, for sure. Like you said, it'll be able to let me loosen up on my grip a little bit, maybe give me a little more confidence here and there, and not really have to worry as much about trying to impress people in the stands, more so just get myself ready to make the jump either next year or the year following. So,
for you, when you go through that process and you're trying to pick schools, and obviously coaches are coming to talk to you, and you have to make that decision, how much stress goes into that final decision-making process where you shake a hand or sign a piece of paper and say, I do, kind of a thing?
Yeah, the last week or so has been really stressful, going on a few visits, but it's been really good with the coaching staff, and the team has been really supportive, and obviously as well my parents and different people have helped me along the way, make it a little easier for me.
Proud of you. Everybody's amped up that that you're going to make that move. Hopefully we get you for another year. That wouldn't hurt anything on the Tauros end for sure. Let's talk about business now and go back to last weekend. We split with Brookings and Minnesota on the weekend. Brookings gets the 2-1 win Friday. Saturday night, Austin Park puts in a heck of a performance. You guys win 2-0. Overall, your thoughts on the weekend? Give it a grade from the A to F scale. Have to be pretty satisfied with 2 points out of the 4?
Yeah, I'd probably give it a B or an A for sure. I mean, even a 2-1 win or a 2-1 loss. Sorry. Goalies played really well this weekend, and as forwards, me personally, and as the D-core, we just got to find a way to put the puck in the back of the net a little bit more here, and big 4 points coming up this weekend. So we'll see what we can do.
Let's talk about those 4 points now. This Minnesota team, they've caused some trouble for the Tauros on the year. They're a hard-working team, big physical club. What's a game plan in your mind, trying to put a few pucks past Kania, the goaltender that plays pretty well for him, and a tough team with good defense?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think they're second in our division right now, so they're creeping up on us. Really good team there. Good systems ran. So as far as getting goals in the back of the net, I mean, I think we got to get traffic to the net, pucks to the net, and just try to bang home a couple greasy ones, and then the rest might fall for us.
Congratulations again on the big news today with the UMass Lowell commitment. Best of luck this weekend.
Thanks very much.
That's Reid Stefenason, a forward for the Minotauros. When we come back, we'll talk to the goaltender, Austin Park. He keeps turning in great performances and numbers. He turned in his first shutout of the year last Saturday. We'll talk to him next. This is Tauros Weekly.
If you can find a better steak in Minot, go there. Otherwise, try the biggest, juiciest steaks you've ever had at Elevation Restaurant at Minot Country Club. Open to the public all year long.
We think the fire started in our bedroom. Thankfully, we all did get out safe. The house ended up being a total loss. There were a lot of tears. Our Farmers Union insurance agent was there the next day, and he not only came to see how we were doing, but he brought us a check to say, you know what, here's a little bit of money to get you guys going, and had us paid out in full within 2 weeks.
Farmers Union Insurance. Simply different.
We picked the right insurance company.
Minotauros hockey picked up another win inside the Central Division on Saturday night in front of a rocking crowd at the Pepsi rink at Mesa Arena. Big reason why was Austin Park, our player of the game, after his first shutout of the year. Nice 26-save performance that night. First of all, thanks for some time here tonight.
Oh, thanks for having me again.
First of all, it has to feel pretty good getting that first goose egg out of the way in the North American Hockey League. Walk us through what you're thinking in the final minutes of play. That's always the most stressful time.
Yeah, no, you try to just keep calm and keep having fun with it, and you just make one save at a time, and eventually that clock takes down to 0, and it's all over, and it feels great.
Got a good defensive core back there, got a good offensive core up front, able to bury a few for you any given night. What does that do for you, knowing that you guys are usually good for maybe 3-4 goals a game, that night only 2, but knowing that you've got some help up front and can bail you out when need be?
Oh, no, and I mean, the common misconception is that a shutout's all on the goaltender, and it's really not. I mean, there were so many block shots, there were so many amazing defensive plays, and I can't score goals, so, that's huge.
A little bit more about this weekend coming up. It's a Minnesota Wilderness team that we take on again, and right now you and Lucas Murray have kind of been going toe-to-toe, battling for that #1 job. You mentioned it earlier on tonight in your attitude moving forward. You want to just touch on that again, what it's like battling with a veteran guy for that #1 spot and just trying to get in and do your best every night?
And as a goalie, we're all competitive. We all want to get that start, but at this point, when a game comes down to it, whoever's in the pipes, we're all one cohesive unit, and we just want to get that win for the night.
244 goals against average, 918 save percentage. Those are some pretty good numbers. Are you satisfied with how those numbers look on paper?
I mean, they're better than they were. Honestly, I'm never satisfied with my numbers unless they're perfect, and it's just a goal to strive for.
Minnesota's the opponent this weekend, and I'm sure maybe you don't know if you're getting the call yet Friday or Saturday night, or either, or both. For you, again, the mentality moving forward and heading on the bus trip and being a part of that, what do you do to try to keep your mind right and knowing that you could get the call or you could not on any given night?
You just approach every game the same, and you have the same preparation, and good habits lead to good results.
For you guys this weekend, in your mind, again, you got a good view back there of the 200 feet of ice that is played in that matchup for 60 minutes. For you, what's the biggest key to the weekend for your club to come out with 4 points and 4 crucial points at this point in the year?
It's really just coming out hard. I mean, I know that we can beat any team in this division. We can beat any team in this league. If the boys come out hard and we battle together, we'll be just fine.
Kind of a morale booster in the locker room, seeing Stefenason get committed to NCAA's UMass Lowell today. What's that like for you, watching a fellow guy sign his letter of intent?
Oh no, it's awesome. You feel a sense of pride that you're part of something like that, and it's really just another goal to strive for. He's a role model, and it's a place that I hope to get to at some point, and yeah, it's very exciting. Very happy for him.
For you, if you had one choice of a college hockey team, is there one that stands off paper, somewhere you'd like to go, or is any Division I school kind of a dream come true?
If any school calls me and they want to pay for my education and let me play hockey for them, I'm going to say yes, but my dream school has to be University of Michigan.
Good answer. We sure appreciate your time. Great job this weekend, and best of luck this weekend coming up.
Thank you very much.
That's Austin Park, the goaltender for the Tauros. When we come back, Ken and I will preview the weekend. The Tauros are at Minnesota for 2 games against the Minnesota Wilderness. This is Tauros Weekly.
The investment you've made in your John Deere equipment is too valuable to just shed it and forget it this fall. Get your tractor, air drill, planter, sprayer, baler, combine, or header scheduled for a postseason performance inspection at one of the 8 Gooseneck Implement Store locations. If you schedule by January 1st, 2017, Gooseneck will provide 100 miles of free trucking to their facility. And any John Deere parts you may need installed by Gooseneck certified technicians will maintain the use season warranty for most equipment. Optimize performance and prevent downtime. Call your local Gooseneck store today.
If you didn't expect to see an Applebee's USDA Choice Top Sirloin searing to smoky oak perfection on a new wood-fired grill, just wait until you see the price. Wood-fired steak with 2 sides for just $9.99. Now for a limited time, only at Applebee's.
If you can find a better steak in Minot, go there. Otherwise, try the biggest, juiciest steaks you've ever had at Elevation Restaurant at Minot Country Club. Open to the public all year long.
Back to Tauros Weekly, live at Elevation at the Minot Country Club. Of course, this show brought to you by Farmers Union Insurance. I'm Nick Hulberg, joined by Ken Orda, the operations manager and play-by-play voice of the Tauros. Big weekend coming up, but first let's go back and talk about Reid Stefenason and the sign, the commit. That's obviously the #1 goal of Tauros hockey overall.
It certainly is. We've moved a ton of kids on. I feel bad I don't have that number off the top of my head, but it's, I ran into Reid actually. I was home, as you mentioned, back in Chicago. We ended up on the same flight and randomly ended up sitting next to each other on the plane. So, randomly picked seats right next to each other as well, and we were talking about it pretty much the whole flight back. And just Monday night, he wasn't sure between which school he was going to choose, and to have him announce that today is pretty cool. It's one of my favorite things working for the team.
Absolutely. On to business this weekend. Tauros at Minnesota to take on the Wilderness. This is a battle of #1 and #2 in the division. First, looking at the division standings, you can see with only a 6-point swing from first to second, these games really do mean something, and the weekend could go one way or another. For you, what do you think is the biggest turning point in this weekend, or the biggest key factors of this matchup?
One thing I think that really needs to get going is the power play. You and I were talking about it last weekend. We talked about it a little bit before the show tonight. Over the last 19, that has to change. And if you look special teams, our penalty kill's been nails all year. It's 4th in the league. And I think the difference between us and the Wilderness right now, high-end scoring matches, depth scoring matches, goaltending matches. Right now, the only difference is the power play production. They're 7th in the league. We're 23rd.
For the Tauros and that top-end stuff, we're talking about some of those guys leading the way for the Tauros and multiple 20-point players on the club this year. From your time in junior hockey, and especially with this Tauros club, a very veteran team here, in your mind, what does it take to get some of these guys going and try to get on a little hot streak towards the end of the year and track down a few more points?
It's almost hard for the guys because there is so much depth up front on this team that guys who would normally be playing first or second line roles are playing third or fourth line roles on the wing. You look at a kid like Chase Springman. We talked about it in the first segment tonight. He's second all time on the franchise in scoring. And he's been bouncing up and down between the third and fourth line for the most part this year. That makes it a little harder to get going when you're not seeing as much ice time as perhaps you're used to. And I'm not saying that by any means Marty's making the wrong decisions there. I think the lines are good and they're right, but it makes it harder for some of these veteran players that we're used to seeing more out of to get going when they're just not getting the same burn that they're used to.
15 games left in the season. Can you believe how quick the year goes? It just seems like September was the other day, and we were getting rolling. We're back at home again, of course, on February 24th, but only a few home games remain. Yeah,
just 8 home games remaining, and hopefully we'll have 4 more at least after that. And I think it gets fun down the stretch here. There's always a lull, it seems, this time of year when everyone's traveling for youth hockey and state hockey, and all of a sudden our we had a record crowd the other night, but for the most part, usually this time of year is when we see some smaller crowds, and it always ramps up in March. And I look forward to those March home games when the place is packed because no one has any travel to do yet. It's not warm enough to go to the lake, and usually that's when we see the biggest crowds, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Back out of this weekend, and for you can listen online, give us the broadcast information. You'll have the call both nights from Cloquet.
Yeah, 7:05 starts, which means 6:50 Farmers Insurance pregame show both nights on hockeytv.com. That's pay-per-view with video, or you can watch me call the game on your website, prostyleproduction.com. You get the Coda Cam, we're calling it. Watch me while I work and get a free stream of the audio.
Well, we sure appreciate what you do on the road, and best of luck on the trip this weekend.
Thank you.
That's Ken Orda here on Tauros Weekly. We're going to sign off from Elevation at the Minot Country Club. As always, a special thanks to our good friend Mike Miller and the staff here at Elevation, and of course Farmers Union Insurance bringing you the show each and every week from Elevation. Special thanks again to Austin Park, Reid, Stefenason, Marty Murray, and the co-host tonight, Mr. Ken Orda. Until next time, I'm Nick Hulberg signing off. Until then, please have a good night.
We think the fire started in our bedroom. Thankfully, we all did get out safe. The house ended up being a total loss. There were a lot of tears. Our Farmers Union insurance agent was there the next day, and he not only came to see how we were doing, but he brought us a check to say, you know what, here's a little bit of money to get you guys going, and had us paid out in full within 2 weeks.
Farmers Union Insurance. Simply different.
We picked the right insurance company.